We are talking about Lower Decks, Strange New Worlds crossover, and we got the scoop for you, boys and girls, because it is going to be a live-action Lower Decks in the Strange New Worlds universe. Woo! This is going to be good. I don't know how they're going to pull this off. I don't know how the time even adds up, frankly speaking, Shane. Because I'm pretty sure Lower Decks takes place so far in the future in comparison to Strange New Worlds. I don't know how this works. But I'll tell you this. I just started the new season of Lower Decks. And I love that first episode. The music was great. Taking off with First Contact. It really... Dude, that show is coming into its own. It's found its feet, for sure. It's still an adult cartoon, whatever. But it's certainly a lot... It's becoming less about the zany nonsense and a little more Star Trek. It's a little more Rick and Morty and a little less Family Guy. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. I mean that's definitely a plus. You know, because some of those episodes in I think season 2. No, I can't remember what it was, but there was some pretty wild stuff.
Oh yeah, the Clippy and the orgies, and that's weird.
A lot of weird naked stuff going on, and I'm like, wait a second, what's going on?
No, the first episode of this last season, real quick. You thought they were gonna like totally just demolish the Starfleet ideals because the main character was assuming that her mother was about to be railroaded by Starfleet, and everyone kept telling her to trust the system. Starfleet's got her back, but she was painting it as not a thing. And by the end of the by the end of this the episode, exactly what Starfleet should have done is what they did. The officers acted like officers, and they taught this character that probably belongs in Star Trek Discovery. They taught her what a real Starfleet officer should have done and would have done, and it's perfect. It's really good. Yeah, it's really well done.
Well, to get to the information about the crossover, because that's kind of the big news, and Kurtzman, when he was doing the after show with Wesley Crusher. Our favorite.
Will Wheaton.
When he was doing the after show, said, "Hey, there's going to be a Will said, "Is there going to be a crossover, Alex?" And Alex was like, "Yes." Yeah. And so,
I'm sorry, real quick. Will Wheaton just randomly asked that question?
No, of course he
didn't. No, it's in the script.
But that's what I thought was funny.
He's such a horrible actor. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I love that Alex paused as if he didn't know it was coming.
Right.
Like that's the best part of it. He's like, will there be a crossover next year? And Alex is like, yes. And it was like, wow, you knew he was going to ask you that question. There's no freestyling here.
Right.
But the crossover, it looks like it ends up going to be Lower Decks crossing over with Strange New Worlds. And basically at San Diego Comic-Con 2022, it was announced that this crossover was happening, and Lower Decks star Jack Quaid, who plays Brad Boimler, is going to be a live-action version of his character on Strange New Worlds.
Awesome. He's also in The Boys.
Yes, he's on The Boys, and I like him on The Boys.
I do too.
And I did not realize he was the voice of Boimler, and that gives me a whole different view of the character now.
Yeah.
So he said here, I feel like I should specify the exact way that it's going to be because I've been looking and seeing a lot of different takes on what's going to happen, Quaid replied. So we already shot it, and it's Tawny Newsome and I as the live-action versions of our animated characters. I don't know if I can get into plot details or anything, but yes, I'm going to have purple hair. We had uniforms made. We got to step on board the Enterprise, which was really interesting, and got to interact with that amazing cast and that amazing crew. And it was such an interesting challenge to be a live-action version of an animated character. What do you do? What's too much? What's too little? How do you stay in voice? How do you bring some physicality to it? How does the character move on the animated show? And how can you make it work in live action? So that's kind of what we should expect to happen for the crossover. But you have a really good point. The things that happen to USS Cerritos is taking place in the future. So what's up?
Yeah, how does the Cerritos crew, or at least a portion of the crew, get back to Strange New Worlds? So I'm assuming. Here's some options. Ready? It must be because the Cerritos is that's all taking place in the 24th century. So I'm assuming that maybe they're using the holodeck. And
no.
No?
Well, it's a Strange New Worlds episode. There ain't no holodeck in Strange New Worlds.
No, it's maybe the Cerritos is using.
No, it's a Strange New Worlds episode. So it cannot be a Lower Decks episode. They can't start with them. You see what I'm saying? Strange New Worlds is not going to cut up their show and make it about them. It's going to be a crossover. So it's going to be starting with Strange New Worlds, and something's going to happen that the Lower Decks crew is going to end up interacting with them.
Oh,
that's how crossover
so it's
works.
A crossover. So it's not. Yeah. So the crossover is 2 parts. So it takes place in Strange New Worlds and in Lower Decks.
No, it doesn't. Lower Decks is going to be done.
I see.
Yeah. Now, could they set up? And I still don't think it would work. Could they set up in the finale of Lower Decks? Because it hasn't ended yet, right?
It hasn't ended yet. No.
So could the finale of Lower Decks season 3?
Season 3, yeah.
Could it set up the crossover? Perhaps, but it would really be a weird way for Enterprise to back into it. So we're talking about time travel here.
Time travel the only option is time travel.
Yes.
All right. So it looks like
wormhole, something weird. Now it could be this. It could be that the Cerritos crew comes into the past via some sort of wormhole or something, right? And the Enterprise just happens to be there and be like, whoa, you know what I mean? It could be that kind of time travel. Not saying Enterprise time travels. Could be Cerritos. It happens to them, you see?
Yeah, you know what's interesting is, they got lucky here. When it comes to doing a crossover, this is Tawny Newsome, right? So yeah. she was in that show, Space Force.
Yes.
Great, by the way, great show.
It's okay.
I thought it was hilarious. Anyways,
I don't know how you can. The main character's not funny. I just don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the problem wasn't. Yes, okay, you're right. Michael Scott wasn't funny, but everyone around him was. That's what I liked about it. Anyways, she was great, and she actually looks like her Lower Deck character. And so does Jack Quaid.
They both do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're kind of based on him.
Which is that's really impressive. That's not really the way animation works usually. I mean, they might base some of the stuff on that character, but like they actually look a lot like those characters.
That's true.
Okay, so I'm assuming, let's say, Tawny Newsome and Quaid, they go back in, or Boimler, whatever. They go back. They're on a shuttle. And they're on the way back to Cerritos, and they get sucked into the DS9 wormhole because they love throwing member berries all over that show. It's like Lower Decks is like Star Trek member berries animated. They get sucked into the wormhole.
Can't be the DS9 wormhole though.
Why not?
Because that one doesn't time travel.
Damn it, Shane. Why being so logical?
Well, they could be like an orb of time. I think. It could. I mean, it could be something like that.
All right, so whatever it is, they're going to be by themselves, so they're not going to be with their whole Cerritos crew.
Yeah, see, that's where I kept saying it's not going to be a crossover on Strange New Worlds, because then you got to like create a live action Cerritos, and you got to do a whole thing like that. But no, they're just going to do a couple characters. This is easy peasy.
And let's be real, a lot of the characters on that show, their real life selves don't look like those characters like they do.
Right, and here's the really cool thing about this. These actors are used to being live action actors.
Right.
So it's not like typical voice actors that just kind of that's what they do.
Right.
Like these guys can realistically pull off being on a live action show. So that's probably why they made this choice.
Right. Like if they ever did a live action Family Guy, Mila Kunis does not look like Meg Griffin. Okay.
No. Right. Yeah. It's not going to go down that way.
Seth MacFarlane always jokes about it. He goes, I took one of the most attractive people I know in real life, and I made her the ugliest character that I've ever drawn. Like, okay.
Good job, Seth.
All right, so the actor went on to explain that the cast of Strange New Worlds was so welcoming. I feel like Ethan Peck, who plays Spock, and I have a firm bromance. He's amazing. We had a blast. Tawny never thought that she would be on a physical Starfleet ship, so she is touching a lot of buttons and dials and knobs and breaking things just to see that through her eyes and see her light up. That was so cool. We're really good friends in real life, so being able to do that together was such a dream. And there are going to be an anime elements to it. What? But not like a Roger Rabbit with cartoons and real people mixed together. You'll see how it all works out. Interesting.
There's going to be animated elements to it, but not like a Roger Rabbit with cartoons and real people. So it's not going to be cartoon and people mixed together, but there are going to be animated elements to it. Oh man, that confuses the heck out of me.
So maybe they get sucked into a wormhole in animation and get thrown out
in live action. Okay. It still is weird to me because it shouldn't be centered around them at all on the show. But you know what I mean? Like we shouldn't see them in the future coming backwards in time.
Right. In reality, because this is not an animated show, there should be no animation. It should be more like these characters that we are aware of on the animated show are also in because they're supposed to be like in the same universe, right? These characters are physical. There should be no animation portion to this.
Well, I think Archmage has a good idea here. He said, we know from Lower Decks trailers they're going to visit DS9 this season, so they'll mess with the orb of time and blip out by the end of the season and show up on Strange New Worlds. That's a good theory.
All right. Freaking orb of time. All right. I hate time travel so much.
I know. I do. Yeah.
I hate it.
Necessary evil.
I used to love it. Now I hate it. Anyways, that's a really cool. It's really cool. I'm really stoked. Not because I'm like some big Lower Decks fan. I'm actually just becoming a quote unquote fan this season. The last couple seasons were just sort of interesting at best. For me, I mean, that's subjective. You could have loved it. I personally thought like the whole orgy scene was just ridiculous and stupid.
True. Another positive thing about this episode that's coming up that we're going to see with a crossover, it's directed by Jonathan Frakes, of course, you know. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I love me some Frakes. Give me all the Frakes.
Yeah.
I want to see all of the Frakes, please. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Good to know. All right, so we have finally had the question answered, and I called it, by the way. I did call it. I said it's going to be live action Cerritos.
You did. You did.
Yeah, so that's good. I would love to. I can't wait to see how they pull that off. That's going to be really interesting.
Man, they've already got 4 seasons renewed. Not only do they got a season 3, but they got a season 4 already
of Lower Decks.
Yeah,
maybe because it's so damn cheap.
Maybe, yeah. You could do animation forever.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't have the same problem that regular sci-fi does, right?
Yeah, people don't age. So.
Well, that's awesome. I can't wait to see it, and I'm super excited about Strange New World season 2. I can't. I haven't been excited about a Star Trek show since Strange New Worlds came out.
I'm strangely excited about Discovery. I just want to see what the train wreck's going to happen next.
Hold up. Let me stop this recording, and you can explain that to me.
Okay.
Guys, please hit the subscribe button on the way to the comment section to tell Shane he's out of his damn mind.